The federal courthouse on Georgia Avenue will soon be replaced by a new building just up the street. Inside the Solomon building, the feds consider it one of the most cramped, rundown federal courthouses in the country. But it wasn't always like this. When it rose up in 1933, it dazzled. The Chattanooga Times reported that on its dedication day, it, quote, echoed all day with the oohs and ahs of people seeing the modernistic beauty of its interior. And it was dubbed the Postal Palace.
When it was built, it was regarded as one of the 150 nicest buildings built in the United States since 1918.
The federal building, which wasn't renamed the Joel W. Solomon building until the 80s, was built during the Great Depression, part of Roosevelt's New Deal to give jobs to desperate Americans. The project cost $1 million, according to papers at the time, and the shining white marble building was designed by a renowned local architect, R.H. Hunt,
who is regarded widely as the master builder of Chattanooga, and really was at one point in the first half of the 20th century considered to be the outstanding architect of the South.
Hunt drew up a bunch of local landmarks: the Carnegie Library on 8th Street, the McClellan Building, the Hamilton County Courthouse, City Hall, and for Chattanooga's new post office and federal courthouse.
The assisting architects were also the architects who designed the Empire State Building.
Today, the building is still considered a top-tier example of Art Deco, Art Moderne architecture, and it's seen a lot of history over the last 9 decades. Like when a federal judge sentenced infamous Teamsters boss Jimmy Hoffa to prison here in 1964.
And it was a mess of a trial. I think you can draw a pretty direct line back from Hoffa's disappearance in 1975 to the events that took place in this courthouse a decade earlier that really just set into motion Hoffa's demise.
The General Services Administration, the federal agency that builds new courthouses, picked a spot off Vine Street for Chattanooga's next federal building, calling it the most advantageous location. It'll be huge, about 190,000 square feet, with almost twice as many courtrooms as the current facility, and presumably no asbestos. Meanwhile, the GSA hasn't said what will happen to the Solomon building, the very last project R.H. Hunt contributed to the city before retiring.
In Las Vegas, they turned their old federal building into the Mob Museum, and it would be neat to see if something like this or some part of this could serve as a place that the public could come and see the history of Chattanooga and the history of this building. But that's from a biased history person, so.